This comes to us from Niche Gamer. They said, new petition calls out payment processors and feminist group over Steam censorship. Now, this started, as of recording this, a couple weeks ago, just shy of a couple weeks ago. But the reason why I want to bring it up now is because the petition has grown exponentially and it is going gangbusters right now in the face of what's happening. We're going to contrast it with MasterCard and Visa and some stories that I have with them as well. But I wanted to start with this because I feel like this is wild, the pushback from the community. A new petition is going around calling for accountability and transparency from payment processors over the chilling effect they're having on the freedom of expression. For those who don't know, over the past few years, payment processors such as Visa and MasterCard have allegedly been behind multiple efforts to censor certain artwork by demonizing creators. Most recently, Steam changed their rules by adding an amendment which states developers may not publish the specific content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or internet network providers. In particular, certain kinds of adult-only content, which is very ambiguous. Certain kinds leaves it open for a lot of debate. Earlier this year, payment processors reportedly attempted to withhold money from the Japanese game developers. Payment processors have also led to rule changes on sites such as Fansly, Patreon, and more. Japanese platforms such as Pixiv and DLS site have also been targeted by payment processors and have been forced to adapt. Shortly after Steam changed its rules, fans appear to have tracked down one of the driving forces behind the censorship push. Collective Shout is a radical feminist organization who has attracted critics from both ends of the political spectrum for their authoritarian pro-censorship and anti-LGBT stances, which I know we've talked about them plenty since this happened, but I do want to just take a quick second here and point out the hysterical irony of being pro-censorship and anti-LGBT together, because this has caused a situation where people that are LGBT for that and pro that are joining forces with the people that are anti-censorship to fight against this group, which typically the LGBT people are very for censorship if it's stuff that isn't what they want to push forward. It's very curious how they pick and choose what they want to accept and what they don't in their world. The petition, which is titled "Tell MasterCard and Visa Activist Groups Stop Controlling What We Can Watch, Read, or Play," can be found on change.org and names Collective Shout as one of the larger influences in the ongoing censorship battle. Fans hope to rally the kind of support the Stop Killing Games movement has in order to protect the freedom of expression and the expectation that individuals can spend their money how they choose. And I'll go through the petition specifically. So this is the petition right now. As of recording this, like I said, about 12 days after it started, it is already at 224,000 verified signatures. Tell MasterCard, Visa, and activist groups, stop controlling what we can watch, read, or play. The issue: MasterCard and Visa are interfering with legal entertainment, often under pressure from advocacy groups who want to censor what they deem problematic. We demand an end to the censorship of fiction and the right to choose the stories we enjoy without moral policing. Now, one thing I will say, I have not signed this petition yet. When it came out, people were telling me about it. I was like, yes, I should get around to signing that. One of my hesitations was for this is Visa and MasterCard are going to get this petition and they're just going to be like, yeah, great. None of you want this. Okay, cool. They're not going to do anything about it. So unfortunately, as cool as this is, my concern is that they are just going to have millions of signatures potentially, and Visa and MasterCard not going to do anything about it. But I think it's very important that we all sign this. So I'm going to sign it right now on this stream. This is what I was waiting to do live because I knew I was going to talk about this. So I'm signing it right now in another screen just to make sure my personal information is not displayed anywhere. So as of right now, before I refresh, it was at 224,378. I have now signed it. We're at 225,218. I'm going to share this with you guys as well. I strongly urge you to consider signing it if you feel strongly about this issue. I feel like it's great that a lot of us can get together and at least have our voices heard. And even if Visa and MasterCard laugh at this, if this gets big enough, that might raise eyebrows in governments and other areas that might say, whoa, there's how many people signing this? What's going on over there? Because there's a lot of people in politics that don't know what is happening. MasterCard and Visa have increasingly used their financial control to pressure platforms into censoring legal fictional content. Entire genres of books, games, films, and artwork are being demonized or deplatformed, not because they're illegal, but because they offend the personal values of executives or activist groups. This behavior is not just overreach, it's blatant hypocrisy. These same payment processors allowed platforms like OnlyFans to operate with minimal oversight, despite multiple credible reports and lawsuits alleging the presence of real SA content involving real life minors. Now, that is something that I obviously don't approve of, don't agree with. And I don't think that actually helps your case, because all I would do if I read this and I was Visa and MasterCard is I'd be like, oh, we need to start going over there and censoring that more too. Not, oh, wait, we're hypocritical. We need to not censor. No. Like, let's just focus on, don't make people that are trying to censor things find other things to start censoring, because that's a slippery slope that I don't want to go down. That is a criminal failure of responsibility. Yet, when it comes to entirely fictional depictions, these same companies act swiftly, shutting down creators, restricting access, and acting as global censors. This is the point that I have kind of focused on for the past couple of weeks now. The global censorship that's going on right now, seeming to be spearheaded by Visa, MasterCard specifically, is extremely concerning for pretty obvious points, but I'm going to say it anyways. If they're too big to fail and the government's scared to stop them, nobody's going to stop them. And they will have ultimate rule of authority of what is okay and what's not. And that is not a governmental, they don't have the jurisdiction of a governmental power, yet they're acting like they are a governmental power. Very concerning. The pressure to do this is often fueled by advocacy groups routinely campaigning against adult-oriented content, even when it's fictional, legal, and clearly labeled for mature audiences, which I go back to the whole, this was all fine for 30 years with the ESRB coming into play. Like, hey, now we know what we're getting, but now technology is improving, so they can try to use technology to enforce more pushing power against people or more authority against people. When at the end of the day, it's like, no, that's out of your jurisdiction. You slap a label on the box, it's up to us, the customer, to decide what to do with that. You don't have the authority to scan my face. You don't have the authority to ask what my age is when I buy something. That is not your jurisdiction. You got put into power, if you even want to call it that, or accepted as a group in the game industry as a, you're going to slap a sticker on this. We will still have the control to decide. Now they're trying to flip the script and say, no, we have the full control of that. We're the ones that do this. Let's be clear. These activist groups do not speak for everyone. Adults are capable of choosing what they want to watch, read, or play. If someone doesn't like a certain type of entertainment, the solution is simple. Walk away. Great point, by the way. And this speaks to internet as well, with people saying, oh, there's too much hate speech on the internet, or the internet is making me feel like I want to do things to myself that might be hurtful. Like, bro, log off the internet. Turn the screen off, walk away. What are you talking about? Why is your problem of being addicted to social media now need to be everyone's problem? That's like saying we need to ban alcohol because someone's an alcoholic, or we need to ban I'm trying to think of like something else that along these lines, where it's like something that people do. It's like, as long as you just do it in moderation, ain't no problem. If there are people that take it to an extreme, that's on those people. That's like saying we need to ban food because people are getting too fat. Like, no, people need to be accountable for what they're putting into their bodies. Same thing when people need to be accountable for what they're reading with their eyes, for what they're looking at, what they're consuming with their eyes. Just like how Alyssa Mercante apparently has pink eye, I'm being accountable, not sharing that with you guys and showing you the stuff that she wrote today because it's gross, especially in context with something she said before. You don't need that. Nobody needs to see that. So I am going to be the filter and say, I'm not going to show that to people because that's not what you came here for. That's how this all works. I don't understand why it's so hard for them to understand. Anyways, nobody is forced to engage with content they find offensive, but they have had no right to dictate what others are allowed to enjoy, especially when it's within the bounds of the law. Fiction is not reality. Again, we're going to say that one more time. Fiction is not reality. Is that loud enough for the people in the back? We good? I want to make sure we focus on this because this is like the main takeaway from all of this. I feel like people keep skipping by this part. Fiction is not reality. Sex sells, and consent, artistic expression, and market freedom must be respected in any healthy democratic society. We demand MasterCard, Visa, and their pressure partners stop censoring legal fictional content that complies with the law and platform standards, reject influence from activist groups that promote moral panic or misrepresent fiction as harm, which, by the way, these activist groups right now, like Collective Shout, are co-opting what's happening in the UK right now with their Online Safety Act that is being pushed across the UK right now, trying to go worldwide with that. They're jumping right on board with that, using that as a boost to push their agenda, being like, this is like the trendy thing right now. Like, where is this all coming from? That all of a sudden there's this panic that we need to secure and lock down everything. Why? Like, what? Where? Nobody can ever answer that. Every time I bring that up, I'm like, what? Why? Why do we need to lock it down? It's the same thing I would ask Asmongold if he was on here right now. I'd be like, okay, so you want a universal ID. Why? And how is that more secure than not having one? How can you guarantee my safety with a universal token that someone won't steal that and take my identity with that? How do you know? How can you guarantee that? Oh, a third party? You're going to trust a verified third party with that? Get out of here. Are you kidding me? Be fully transparent about content restrictions and the rationale behind them. Protect creators' rights to make legal adult content and ensure a fair appeals process for any penalized media. Let creators create. Let consumers choose. Payment processors and activist groups should not be cultural gatekeepers in a digital age. Sign the petition to defend free expression, consumer choice, and artistic integrity. And I'm telling you guys right now, already at nearly 250,000 signatures in about 12 days. And the rate that this is going right now, it is rapidly increasing. I wouldn't be surprised in a month or so if this was exponentially rising past 1 million and beyond. And at that point, it's going to be really hard for governmental entities and Visa and MasterCard to ignore. So please, if you haven't already, consider signing this and continue to contact Visa, MasterCard, and any other payment processors that may be withholding the ability to purchase things that you want the ability to purchase. And I'll leave that there.